There is nothing wrong with your internet. Do not attempt to adjust your settings. We are controlling the podcast. We control the squealing and the screams. We can make your heart flutter, your eyes blur from tears, or sharpen your mind to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit back. We are in control of what you hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your settings. You are about to experience the awe and mystery known as the female mind. You are now entering the Fangirl Zone.
Welcome to Sci-Fi Talk on the Fangirl Zone, a podcast where we discuss shows on the Sci-Fi Channel. I'm Steve.
And I'm Shawn, Fangirl S, and today we're discussing episode 2 of season 2 of SurrealEstate. Again, so glad they're back. So glad we're back to talk about it now that the strikes are over.
Yes,
there's a lot that I've wanted to talk about.
Yes.
But solidarity with the unions.
Yep. Well, good news and bad news on the ratings front. Episode 2 had a 0.02 in adults 18 to 49, which is down 0.01, but it had 0.163 million viewers, so it went up 30,000 viewers, so that's good. So maybe people are starting to find out it's back and will start watching.
Well, let's hope so, because, the lack of advertising has been upsetting.
Yes, it has. So, episode 2, Truth in Advertising. Luke has to deal with a film crew supposedly investigating paranormal events in a client's house. Meanwhile, Susan and Augie are dealing with a B&B at the seaside. I
know we're getting into it, but, that was kind of funny.
Yes.
All right, so we open with a man, Doug Peterson, who's taking the trash to the curb one night. Suddenly, a creature appears, boasting a gray hooded cloak while slowly dragging a shovel behind it. So that was creeping me out right there, because This was before Halloween, which I loved it. But they spot Doug and move towards him with their clawed hand raised. Doug runs into his garage and shuts the door. Unfortunately, the creature had managed to scratch him. He sees bloody claw marks on his back. And then we see a famed paranormal investigator hit Rampart in the opening credits for his TV series, Spirit Stalkers, Paranormal PI. Oh, Lord, this gave me nothing but, vibes from all the ones that I watched. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And I think a lot of people know the one in particular I'm alluding to that gets kind of over the top, and it felt very much like that. I'm not going to say what it is.
Yes.
I just giggled a lot. I'm just saying.
Yes, absolutely.
But back to the show. He introduces us to the legend of Grace Wexford, a werewolf-like ghost who haunts the area. He hopes to see her in real time. However, Zoe ruins the shot by standing behind Kit. She was behind a door. We didn't know they were going to open the door. Come on.
Exactly.
But later, Luke advises Doug as his realtor. Doug will be featured in the episode. And so he really kind of wanted to do this because, he can be on TV now. But he's going to be on Kit's TV show. I don't know. I'm kind of with Luke on this. It's like, is this a good idea?
No.
But, Doug's like, hey, Grace Wexford scratched me. So my 15 minutes.
Yep.
Doug claims that his house has been on the market for a few months now with no bites. Perhaps an appearance on the show will change that because it's seen around the globe. Of course, Luke knows that this Kit dude's full of BS. At least we feel like he is.
Yeah.
He might not be able to communicate with the dead anymore, but he can sniff out that BS from a mile away. And when Luke meets Kit, he is confirming his suspicions up and down.
Yeah.
Because Kit is so overdramatic and deeply, unironically serious as possible. We know how Luke was.
Yep.
He didn't act like that. But
no.
He was not on camera all the time. So things may change.
Yes. Next, Luke and Susan share an elevator ride to the Roman agency. And it's awkward to say the least.
Awkward.
Luke reveals he will let Doug participate in Spirit Stalkers because there's not much else he can do. Susan disagrees with this move. Once inside, Zoe gives Susan some info on her client, an older couple who owns a bed and breakfast. Apparently, Luke has decreed that all current and prospective clients must go through him now.
That doesn't sound good.
No, wouldn't be surprising if Susan temporarily quits or another agency snatches her up. Susan asks August if he'll accompany her to this B&B to scope it out. Augie wants to test Susan's new home for supernatural activity, but Susan insists it's unnecessary.
Is it, Susan?
No, it is not. Meanwhile, Kit butts heads with Elena Davis, presumably the showrunner of his show. He's tired of faking. They have crew members off camera creating sounds to make it seem like there's paranormal entity. However, it's all phony. Unfortunately, they have a shooting schedule to plow through. We see Grace lurking near the window in the Wexford house. She parts the curtains with her clawed hand before walking away. Next, Luke competes with Kit as they show off their battle scars from various paranormal exploits over the years. As it turns out, like Luke, Kit used to have the ability to communicate with the dead. Then it simply vanished. They commiserate together over their shared loss. Kit wants his series to be rooted in authenticity, but it's not.
I mean, that would probably be really difficult because we see how things don't show up right away.
Yeah.
I guess if you got a network breathing down your neck.
Yeah.
So later on, we see Susan and Augie driving to the B&B. They talk about houses, particularly Augie's favorite home with his family. I love getting these little nuggets of insight into the characters' lives because it's not like they're going to give us a whole bio rundown.
No.
And now we know that Augie fences, plays poker, and is in a jazz band. Or he could have been messing with us. I don't know.
Yeah.
His extracurricular dance card is always full. They get into the B&B. They chat with the older couple about the sounds they hear. It sounds like a lot of moaning. And I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
At the Wexford residence, Luke watches a take with Kit as he attempts to communicate with Grace. Grace legitimately answers, getting Kit excited to see real action. However, Luke ruins the take by jumping into the shot to protect Kit from harm. Afterward, Luke calls Father Phil for backup. I was kind of on the fence. I'm like, maybe he should have just let Kit get scratched or something.
Yes.
Then Elena chats with the famed author and historian, Willa Stans, who agreed to do an interview for the episode. Willa has written about the Wexford family before. Elena hoped for some juicy behind-the-scenes bits for her scene, but Willa wants to tell the truth. And the truth can be less than glamorous. Yeah, this lady wanted all smoke and mirrors. And she's like, nah, I'm just going to give you what happened. Meanwhile, Zoe scares one of the Spirit Stalkers crew members while Susan and Augie discover why this couple hears noises. This was amusing when we went to the B&B because the two ghosts at the B&B apparently were lovers while they're alive, and they're doing little brown chicken, brown cow under the sheets, even into the afterlife.
Yes. Next, Luke and Zoe try to sing Grace Wexford's lullaby into an old-school communication device. They get a response, which is progress. Susan calls Phil for assistance in turning off the sex ghost. He vows to do some digging. But first he meets Will Stan, who he loves. He expresses admiration for her catalog, including the boring stuff. He's all about the truth. Phil asks to speak to her about the Grace case. Luke and Zoe devise a plan to distract Kit so Luke can work his mojo. Zoe conceals herself under a sheet and pretends to be Grace. Naturally, Kit orders his team to chase her outside and into the surrounding woods. Elena protests, reminding Kit that it's almost daylight and they still have a lot to shoot. However, Kit hopes they'll have plenty of actual supernatural phenomena to entice viewers. Later, Phil fills Luke in on what he found regarding Grace. Her father died one day, making her uncle the heir to his business. The uncle instantly buried Grace's dad before he went cold.
Yeah, that doesn't sound creepy or anything.
No, Grace came home and dug him up to honor his wishes. When the authorities arrived, one of them slapped Grace in the face. Her teeth scratched him and he died. Thus, the insulting lullaby was born. Her father used to sing a real tune to her that was much nicer. Essentially, society constructing this nasty legend about Grace turned her into a monster.
That's pretty messed up, too.
Yes, it is.
I mean, I'm instantly thinking, oh, the uncle probably killed the dad to get the business. And
yeah, probably.
It's like, wow, there's so much that happened. And how much was the sheriff or whoever in on it? And I'm like, okay, I'm diving way deeper into something that we're not going to get. But it was just like making me mad about it. But anyway, we have Augie and Susan waist deep in research. How do they get rid of sex ghosts? I mean, that's a new one.
Right.
Augie admires their love that stands the test of time and the physical plane. Perhaps they leave them be. Okay, that's weird. But then we have Luke digging up Grace's father's grave. What? Okay, two very different storylines right now.
Well, we also hear that Grace wanted to put her necklace that her dad had given her in the grave with her father, and because the uncle buried him so quickly, she wasn't able to do that.
Yeah, so I mean, at that point, you're thinking, okay, they're both stories about love, but it's just the way everything's playing out right now. It's like
right.
It's very different. So we see Grace lurking behind Luke, which was creeping me out because we see her raising her clawed hand, seemingly to harm him. She shoves him to the ground, and then Luke lays eyes on Grace. She looks like a terrifying creature of our nightmares. But Luke starts singing her father's lullaby, which was the sweet song about Grace's positive attributes, and it changes her. She transforms into her human self. She smiles at Luke before turning to face her dad's grave. She then takes off the necklace and drops it in the dirt, and Grace Wexford vanishes. And that was a little sad because it was like, that's all she wanted this whole time.
Yeah, just closure.
When the morning comes, Kit tells Luke that he thinks he has a banger of an episode on his hand, and he feels reinvigorated after coming into contact with real paranormal stuff again. Yeah, Kit wants to hire Zoe, giving her his info, and should the real estate thing not pan out, which I thought was funny because it's like, yeah, you had real stuff happening. It was called Zoe.
Yeah.
But we all know, even though Luke and the rest may not know, Zoe is studying for her real estate license, as evidenced by the practice test she had on her desk.
Yeah. Well, later we see Susan and Augie present their solution to the couple. The ghosts only reunite every Saturday night to get it on, so why not make it part of the B&B's marketing? Pivot and accept them. Millennials love an experience. Embrace the sex spirits.
What a thing to call them.
Yeah. As part of this new marketing angle, the couple enlists Kit Rampart to film an episode of Spirit Stalkers. He's ready for all the paranormal nookie.
Well, he'll get real stuff happening this episode.
Yeah. Please review and rate us on iTunes and any other program you listen to your podcasts. With good ratings and reviews, it helps other fans of the show find us. Tell your friends, and we do hope you're enjoying our podcast.
You can go over to www.fangirlzone.com, check out our contacts page with all of the ways to get a hold of us, because there are many. We are on TikTok now, which is me just kind of talking about stuff and posting stupid stuff and girl math and I'm a child journey. So if you have questions about that, you know where to find us. But back to this and the awesomeness that is sci-fi and our sci-fi talk. So for this episode of Sci-Fi Talk,
I'm Steve. Sometimes the truth is mean.
And I'm Shawn Fangirl S. And until next time.